The movie begins with Holly, a girl who narrates about her life as an invisible person. She's neither a ghost nor seen or heard by anyone. Flashing back, she talks about her family. Her older sister Vanessa, her younger brother Troy, and her loving mother Victoria. However, Victoria's death changes everything for Holly, as she begins to feel unnoticed and invisible. Her father Paul seems to overlook her, and even her teacher ignores her in school. Holly realizes she's fading away and becomes completely invisible by the end of summer. Holly learns that she has become totally invisible. In fact, she doesn't even show up in pictures as the years go by. Over the years, she adapts to her newfound invisibility, renting an apartment where anonymity is the norm. She even works as a paparazzo, exploiting her invisibility to capture scandalous photos of celebrities. Despite her invisibility, Holly enjoys visiting her family, who continue their weekly dinner tradition. However, she feels disconnected from them and often leaves early. While being invisible has perks like freedom and exploration, the worst part is feeling excluded from everything. One evening, while keeping an eye on a couple, Holly is shockingly noticed by a bouncer. He catches her taking pictures of the couple and throws her out of the club. Holly is thrilled to finally meet someone who can see her and has countless questions for him. However, the bouncer ignores her and returns to the club. For some reason, he is the only one who can see her. Later at home, as Holly is going through her previous works, she comes across the bouncer's picture. She remembers him as Shane, a guy she had caught cheating on camera. Filled with remorse, she decides to do some research on Shane and discovers that he's a former MMA fighter and a world champion who once dated popular actress and supermodel Juliana. However, after the pictures Holly took went viral, Shane's fans turned against him, and the couple eventually broke up. To make matters worse, Shane was arrested for illegal activities and his MMA career came to an end. Determined to make it up to him even though it was not her fault, Holly goes back to the club and patiently waits for Shane. As soon as he arrives, she apologizes and offers to help build up his reputation. At first, Shane is furious with her and asks her to go away, but Holly convinces him to give her some minutes to prove her skills. Shane meets with his manager to discuss an upcoming event, and Holly surprises him by sitting next to the manager and reading his text messages. Although Shane is initially confused, he plays along as Holly points out all the ways his manager is lying, including trying to pay him less than what the event offers. Shane then argues with the manager and negotiates a better deal for himself. After this, he drags Holly out of the building and asks her what's going on. She reveals that she is invisible to others. Shane doesn't believe her, so to prove herself, she stands in front of an oncoming car. Shane pulls her back at the last second, but the driver, who had no idea that someone was standing on the road, yells at him, and this finally convinces Shane. The two become close as he is the only person who can see and talk to her. Holly suggests that they might be connected and able to help each other. Shane agrees and invites her to his apartment to discuss their situation. The next morning, Holly arrives at Shane's apartment and meets his three-legged dog who cannot see her. As they settle in, Holly shares her theory that she wasn't always invisible and Shane wasn't always unpopular. She believes that by helping him, she may regain her visibility and ease both of their lives. In turn, Shane opens up about his life story, sharing how he was kicked out by his stepfather as a teenager and discovered his passion for fighting while defending himself from bullies. Here we get to know that though he no longer fights professionally, Shane still competes in small underground tournaments. Later, Holly attends one of the fights but is shocked by the violence and Shane's meager earnings of only $300. However, Shane mentions that nobody important wants to fight him because he is unpopular. Holly feels bad for him and promises to help him get bigger matches. As the days go by, Holly finds herself increasingly immersed in the world of professional fighting, determined to secure bigger and more lucrative matches for Shane. She spends countless hours researching top fighters and strategizing ways to elevate Shane's career. One evening, as she sits in her apartment surrounded by stacks of research papers and fight statistics, Holly stumbles upon a scandal involving a renowned fighter named Suarez. Using her resourcefulness, she devises a plan to exploit this scandal to Shane's advantage. Sneaking into Suarez's house under the cover of darkness, Holly manages to capture incriminating evidence of his steroid use. Armed with this damning information, she blackmails Suarez. Afterwards, she drops by Shane's apartment and shares her success in arranging the fight, His manager also calls with the news that Suarez has accepted to fight Shane in 6 weeks. Holly then reveals that she is scared of crowds due to a past injury sustained at a concert. Shane is slightly disappointed that Holly cannot attend his fight, but he has another idea. He suggests that she come to his apartment to watch it on TV, which she gladly accepts. In the next scene, the match day finally arrives, and despite being away from fighting for more than 5 years, Shane emerges victorious but gets a disappointing payout from the match due to his manager taking a larger cut of his earnings. Later, Shane returns home to Holly and shows her his injuries. She naturally becomes worried, but he downplays them. Shane then invites Holly to the rooftop of his apartment building where they discuss the fight. He then kisses her. Right then, the reporter from earlier appears behind them and snaps a photo of the kiss. Shane notices him and tries to capture him, but the reporter manages to get away. The next morning, Holly is surprised to see herself in a tabloid photo with Shane labeled as the Shadow Girl. Apparently, the reporter edited the image by inserting a silhouette of a woman in there. In the next scene, we see Shane at a press conference with his next opponent, Bones. We learn that Shane has parted ways with his manager, and when he is asked about the Shadow Girl assumed to be Juliana, he doesn't comment on that. After the conference, Holly follows Bones to his car and sends him some texts to let him know that she has evidence of him spending the night with a minor. To keep her silence, Bones reluctantly agrees to lose the fight against Shane. On the day of the fight, Shane easily beats Bones, elevating his status as a prominent fighter. Even more, however, Holly is not done yet. She invents a rumor that Mate has accepted the rematch against Shane. Later, Holly sneaks into Mateus' house to find some dirt on him, but unfortunately this time she comes up empty-handed. After this, Holly visits her sister and discovers that she is pregnant, but for some reason she doesn't want to tell her husband about it. The following day, Holly is sent to a bar to take pictures of Juliana, who's seen flirting with a guy. To her shock, the guy turns out to be none other than Shane. Furious, Holly yells at him before storming out of the building. Shane goes after her to explain, but she refuses to listen. When nothing works, Shane defends himself by saying that he wants to be with someone real. In response, Holly reveals that she has been fixing his fights. Hearing this, Shane becomes angry and shouts at her to go away. One evening at her apartment while Holly is busy drinking, Shane surprises her with a visit. He feels the need to confess something to her. To Holly's surprise, Shane reveals that the pictures she took of him cheating on Juliana were not the sole reason for their breakup or his defeat in the fight. He admits to becoming complacent when his career took off and that both he and Juliana were unfaithful to each other. Shane couldn't cope with this situation. Listening to this, Holly realizes that it was never her fault. She just got involved at an unfortunate time. She then tries to kiss him, but Shane backs off, enraging Holly, and she kicks him out of her apartment, breaking her late mother's kaleidoscope in the process. The next morning, Holly wakes up to a distressing discovery. She can no longer see herself in the mirror. Desperate for answers, she decides to seek out Shane at the gym. However, to her horror, he cannot see her either. After she leaves, Shane is visited by Juliana, who jokes that she doesn't date losers. This makes Shane question her true intentions, wondering if she would have contacted him if he hadn't become famous again. The answer is obviously no. Elsewhere, Holly decides to visit her family one last time to bid them farewell. She starts with Vanessa, who still hasn't told her husband about her pregnancy. Holly decides to kick the trash can, revealing the pregnancy test. Her brother-in-law notices it, and although he is thrilled about the news, Vanessa is scared. She has always been regarded as nothing more than a pretty face and feels unworthy of being a mother because her mother showed favoritism towards her sister. Next, Holly visits her brother Troy and watches his latest movie, which she finds quite impressive. When his crush passes by on the street, Holly trips her on purpose, allowing Troy to finally talk to her. After this, she goes to see her father Paul and discovers sleeping pills and 3 pictures of kaleidoscope art, indicating that he still misses his late wife Victoria. At this moment, Holly realizes that she has been so focused on her own loss that she had not been there for her family, who have also been hurting. Hence, she apologizes to her father and decides to change her ways. Following this, Holly takes a bus to see Shane's match against Mate, risking being in a crowd. When she gets there, She notices Shane on the losing side and sneaks into the ring to support him, promising to be there for him no matter what. Through her surprise, Shane finally sees her again, but so does the entire audience. Regardless, Holly remains by Shane's side, holding his hand until security finally kicks her out. Unfortunately, he loses the match by a tiny difference in points, probably because he was distracted by Holly. After the intense match, Juliana approaches Shane with words of sympathy, but also understandingly grants him permission to see Holly. Without hesitation, Shane rushes to the hallway and convinces the security that Holly is with him. Once they are alone, he finally embraces her in a tight hug. Holly admits that Shane was right about her life, and in turn, he confesses that she was right about Juliana. Days later, Holly surprises her dad with an unexpected visit, and Paul's eyes light up with joy as he sees his daughter again. The movie ends when the father and daughter share a warm embrace. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications. Thank you for watching.